Hey everyone, this is Amy Poehler. This is the first episode of my podcast. Thank you for being here. I like to be 5 or 6 years late to any trend. It only gets better from here, or it only goes down from here. I don't know. We'll see. I just want to make it clear. I am not an expert. I'm not a therapist. I'm not here to change your life. I don't care if you get any better. I don't have advice for you. I just want us to have fun and lighten up a little. And I don't know. I want us to feel like there's there's a way to have laughs amid all of the craziness that is life. So if you're listening to this while you're working out or folding laundry, or maybe you're sitting in your car avoiding your kids, maybe you're listening to this, I don't know, in your in-laws' basement next to the Bowflex machine, and it's Christmas and you're questioning the choices you've made in life. Whatever it is, this is a show here to have fun and make you laugh, and I'm not here to judge. Okay, so my guest today is Tina Fey. Tina is my wife, really, in life. She is my comedy partner in many ways, and she has, I talk about it in the podcast a little bit, but she has been along this journey with me. We've really experienced a lot of things together at the same time in life. Sometimes I feel like Tina and I are kind of a group with two members, and we've had a lot of parallel things happen at the same time, kids and TV shows and career, and we're lucky enough to still like each other and want to tour together. So we're going to talk and hang out, and like any good hang, you want to make sure that anyone's invited. So without further ado, here are some of my fave people: Seth Meyers, Fred Armisen, Rachel Dratch, and Zarna Garg, a great stand-up and friend who's been joining Tina and I on the road. And see if they have any questions for Tina, anything they think I should ask her. And honestly, I just want to check in and see if they think this is a good idea. This episode is presented by the Toyota Grand Highlander. Life's journey brings constant change, filled with exciting surprises, new chapters, and grand challenges. And the Toyota Grand Highlander is more than a vehicle. It's your partner in embracing all life throws at you. Blinked and the kids have grown up? The third row can fit 3 adults. From daily routines to life-changing adventures, the Toyota Grand Highlander is up for every grand challenge. Learn more at toyota.com/Grand Highlander. Toyota, let's go places.
What do you say? All I ever wanted was a really good hang.
Wait, Dratch's Zoom is in the dark.
Dratch is in a haunted New England attic.
There you go.
Okay,
It's very Dratch to join and then carry her laptop into every room in her home.
I'm planting it now. Okay.
Dratch
I'm
is putting
so
her headphones on
excited.
and away. There's a 30% chance she strangles herself.
I know. This is a very typical Dratch entry.
Dratch's headphones look like, you know when you were trying to untangle Christmas lights?
Yeah, I didn't even know this kind of cord could tangle like that.
I'm holding up everything.
No, this is what Amy wanted.
Just the sound of untangling headphones is great for like a first podcast and stuff.
Okay. All right. Ready to rock.
Maybe I should reintroduce everybody since we're all on mic here. Zarna Garg, Seth Meyers, Fred Armisen, Rachel Dratch. Welcome to Good Hang. Thank you for being.
It's great to be here. It's been a great hang so far.
It's an
I mean,
honor.
everything that's happened before the intro has been great.
I mean, it feels like it's been real smooth.
And you
That's
can hear
on me.
You
That's
can hear
on
this
me.
microphone okay? Does this sound all right? Check.
Can we just go down the line and have everyone clap?
We really need you guys to clap.
Oh, I didn't hear Zarna.
Okay.
We really need to get this clap right, guys.
Okay, Seth. It's not picking up.
Sorry.
Doorbell rang.
Amy, this is the episode.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is it. 100%, Zarn.
I don't
This
think
is.
you can
I think
stop
it's
this.
very unfair that Dratch is using this time to record an episode of background noises with Rachel Dratch.
Dratch, who is at the door? That's the
I ordered
question.
food. I ordered food.
I haven't heard an old timey doorbell like that.
Wait, one more thing. One more thing. The batteries are out of my recorder. So I have to take my phone. I have to do my voice memo, but I don't need to have a microphone, right?
Dratch, we're probably gonna edit you out of this.
This is the most embarrassing Pisces.
Also, Dratch, if you ordered from a second restaurant, you should tell us
I did
now.
it. I did
Okay.
this one. I didn't do a bang bang. Okay. Well,
Okay.
already it's been a good hang. Okay. I'm ready.
Oh my god. Okay. So my first guess is Tina.
Mhm.
Tina Fey. And you all know Tina really well. So I guess my question to you is, what would you want to hear her talk about on this podcast or any podcast? She doesn't do a lot of them.
Her dad was really good at caricatures.
Mm-hmm.
So, are there any other artistic talents that she got from her dad? Because Tina's good at caricatures too, like drawing. But how do you put that into like a question for her? I guess it's more like, did she get that from her dad, or like how much? Like, I remember him being really funny in his own way too.
Yeah.
So,
Dawn Fey.
She is an intimidating presence, Tina. Like, people are nervous around her. I was nervous around her when I first met her. I wonder if she ever gets asked, like she's intimidating in the way that a man would be
Mm-hmm.
to me. But I wonder if she ever gets asked, like, the girl questions, like, what dress are you going to wear?
That's
Is that something
interesting.
she deals with at all? Or do people just go to her like, oh, no, this is not a Tina Fey question?
Do you want me to ask her the dress question?
Yeah.
Ask her the dress question, Seth.
I'll ask her.
I
Ask
like
her.
that. And can you do it? Can you whisper it in like a phone call late at night? Can you say,
What dress are you gonna wear? Hey, Zarna wants to know.
I know you guys, your time is limited, so I won't keep you much longer. But just before we go, you are all doing tons of podcasts, hosting them, in them. Like, what advice do you have for me as I launch? What do you?
I just know from knowing you that, like, whenever you ask people questions in real life, you really are interested, and you're just on like the cliff of like giving a hint as to what your opinion is. Just not too much, but just enough so it's really it just draws you in. So there's no advice. I'm just like, every time you ask me a question, I'm like, ooh, I think Amy's really asking me a question.
Is it? That sounds kind of leading the witness a little bit.
No. It's more like this is going to be a fun conversation. So, for example, this is not a real thing, but you'd be like, so you really like landing in London? Like, that's a good airport to land in, Fred? And I'm like, oh, this is about to be a conversation about what you don't like about
I think you're very good at not letting, sometimes you help turn people away from the negative narrative that they might want to lay out to you. So you're a really good friend, and that you listen. And I think you can tell when people just need to like unburden themselves with something. But I feel like more than maybe anyone else I know, you're very good at saying, can I invite you to look at this a different way? That
May I offer you some feedback?
Not even feedback. It's more like it's not like this is how you should, but like you're telling me something and I see how you're seeing it. But like, can I just ask you to maybe see it this way, where you won't be as hard on yourself and you won't be as sad about it? I don't know. I feel like you've always been very good that way.
Thanks.
But you have like a regular voice that you're not using right now. Do you want to do your real voice?
Oh
like,
yeah,
in
I'll do my
person?
real voice. Okay. Hey guys.
Oh, it was so hard to do my other voice.
That's
It
the
hurts,
way.
right?
Yeah, it
It's just, like,
hurts.
painful.
It
Yeah.
hurts. Anyway, it's so great that you guys are doing this today.
I love you, and I have to go. I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
go. I love you. Thank you for doing this, Seth.
I have to go too. Actually.
Everyone's got to go. It means the world that you guys did this. Thank you for letting me start. This is like the ground floor. Thanks for being there for me with this and so many other things. I can't wait to see you all in person very soon. I really love you guys. Thanks so much for doing it.
Love you.
Love
Thank
you all.
you.
Okay, bye guys.
Bye.
Thank you. This episode is brought to you by Uber Eats. Uber Eats is delivering game day deals because you can't watch 8 hours of basketball a day on an empty stomach. I love to watch TV on my couch and then never get back up. And so once I'm down, it's hard to stand. And I definitely don't want to drive and get food. So Uber Eats delivers my food to me, and then I shuffle over to my door in my pajamas and I grab the food. So whatever you're craving, Uber Eats has deals on all your game day favorites. You never have to miss a single buzzer beater. Get game day deals on all your favorites only on Uber Eats. Order now. All right, we're going to officially start.
And begin.
And we need everyone to clap.
Personality on. It's not working.
We just need a clap. We need you to clap
Okay.
and then count backwards from 10. 10. Tina, thank you for being on the first official podcast that I have ever done for Good Hang.
It is my absolute pleasure.
I really, really appreciate it, buddy. You have done many things for me over the years, including getting most of the jobs helping me get most of the jobs that I have and the career that I have. But this means the most.
This means the most? Okay, great.
But I am kind of nervous.
Why?
Well, I mean, I guess it's funny to talk to your friends that you've known for so long
Yeah.
and then interview them, I guess. But
Yeah.
we should probably picture this as I'm going to picture that there's a room full of, I'm going to picture there's an audience.
Okay.
It's
And not just Jenna.
Yeah, because it's the only way I can get off. No, I'm just kidding.
And just step on your neck and talk to you. You know what? Also, sometimes when I hear things like this back, I go, "Oh, why was my voice so nasal and annoying?" So should we just take a little minute to just let's warm up our voices.
Do you remember the character that Keenan did on SNL where he was a guy saying, "Just fix it"? Remember, he was like a New Yorker that just kept going, "Fix it."
No, I don't remember
You don't?
that.
Oh,
I remember
one of
him
the many.
saying, "Let me hold that baby." Do you remember that character? Did that air?
I don't know.
It was a really funny, it was almost like a premise for a short story where he was just like a sweet old man in a train station, and then a young host was there with her baby, and she was like chatting with him, and then he just goes, "Let me hold that baby." And it was her dilemma was like, I don't actually know this man. Like, should I let him hold my baby? Like, what if he runs away? What if he smashes it like a basketball into the ground? Let me hold that baby.
Okay, but you don't do a lot of podcasts.
I don't do a lot. I'm very selective.
You
in my
are.
podcast work.
I appreciate that. And you were so good on Bowen and Matt's.
Oh my gosh,
Last
thank you.
Culturistas. It was so funny. And
Thank
good.
you. That is one podcast that I do listen to and
Same.
enjoy. That and
Love.
Dratch, anything Dratch says. Those guys are funny. But I felt a lot of pressure. I went in there knowing like you have to do that 1 minute thing at the end, and I
Well, you nailed
something I think about a lot, and I fall short of it constantly. But a million years ago, I was a writer still at SNL, and I remember Steve Martin came to do something on the show. He wasn't hosting, but he came to the show, and he had just been on Letterman the night before, and I said, "Oh, hi, how you doing?" I said, "Oh my gosh, you were so funny on Letterman last night," and he just very matter-of-factly said, "Oh well, you have to kill every time." And that has haunted me every day since. And he's right. And it's like, oh, right. Like if you're a beautiful actress from, I don't know, like Melrose Place, no, just whatever. Like you're just a beautiful actress. You can go on and be like, I went to the store once. But if you're a comedy person, you have to kill every time?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Have you ever? I mean, I think I know the answer to this, but I feel like I've never really gotten a job from an audition ever.
Ooh.
You feel like you've gone into an audition for something and nailed it and been like, I got it.
No, never. Because again, I'm not really so interesting on paper. Like I remember going to commercial auditions in Chicago. And we had friends at that time. Chicago was a thriving town for commercials. I don't know if it still is, but there were, huge ad agencies were based there, and they would shoot things in Chicago. And a lot of people that we worked with at Second City would get a lot of work that would pay for their whole year. I did a little bit of voiceover work. I had a pager. Remember, you'd have a pager. Be like, guys, my pager's blowing up. I might have a voiceover audition downtown. I gotta go.
There was a casting director in Chicago, who shall not be named, who was a commercial casting director, and I had kind of wonky teeth. So it was this kind of thing where we'd go out for this. Remember the term bite and smile?
Yes.
So you'd pretend to bite into a hamburger and then be like, you'd smile.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it could change your life if you got a.
You could pay for like 3 years of your low rent.
Yeah. And I knew right away that with my teeth, I was never going to get a bite and smile. Like, there was no way a brand would be associated with my teeth. And this casting director, just to get to know people, would ask them, what's your most embarrassing moment?
Yeah.
And I had a full, I got probably nervous in that moment, but I was like, no, thank you. I didn't want to tell her my most embarrassing moment.
Because by the way, that's insane. Like that's a tiny micro version of when we try to explain the 90s to younger people of like how so many things, if you like, oh, that lady would literally be fired and tried in front of a jury for asking you that in the workplace. I had a bite and smile type thing where it was a McDonald's audition, and everything always was like, okay, so take 2 trains and a thing and get way out to wherever this audition is, and then you get there and it was for some new kind of happy or drive-through meal, whatever. And I went all the way to the thing, and I got there, and I realized as we were going into the session, like, oh, this commercial is for a person pulling into a drive-through. And I have this, scar on the left side of my face that's way faded now, but it was much more prominent then. I was like, similar to the teeth thing, I was like, guess who's not going to book this pulling up to the drive-thru with my short hair with the perm on top and a big scar. And so I just remember in the thing just being able like pulling into in the chair, like scooting like I'm in the drive-thru being like, I'll have the fish fillet meal and my scar will have an orange soda, and then just leaving.
You were like, you're not going to reject me. I'm going to reject you.
It's like, what are we doing here?
Oh,
I traveled 45 minutes each way.
I mean, we talk about work a lot when we're together. I think we work together really well. What is your relationship to work, and has it changed?
I think it has changed. I am a work-based person. Like that's, if I were an animal, I would be like a carriage horse, I think. Just like, they say like, oh no, some kinds of dogs, like, no, they want to work or they'll go insane. So I am that kind of animal, I think. But I have just recently, really recently found that I have, because I went through such a stretch for so many decades where it was like you go to work for 12 to 13 hours and then you come home and you try to be with your family till they go to sleep, and then you're like, then you got to do your homework. And I've only in the last year or two had windows of time where like, I don't have homework tonight. I can just be a person in this world and maybe like watch a program.
Do you feel like you can actually enjoy it in that moment?
I can, although it's still, I think any other writer would say this too, that the closest I can get to joy and peace is like the 36 hours after I've turned something in. Because that's the only time when you're like,
I did it.
I don't have any homework, but I'm still a very good carriage horse because I did my work.
Yes.
And then after like 36 hours, it creeps back in of like, okay, I'm going to get notes back, or I should go skip ahead to the next thing. I will say, though, I did go back to work this fall on a set for the first time in a long time. And it was actually, and I worked hard to build it to be a really healthy set and really like humane hours. And it was nice to be among other humans and making something. I also was extremely purposeful about bringing together people who I believed were good people who would not make any trouble for me.
Yes.
And it really made a difference.
I feel like that's success.
Right.
Success
That's a luxury.
is getting to realize I only, if I can, want to work with people who I know will not think that chaos is how to be creative.
It's how to be creative. And, I think as so many TikTok stories, we won't go into which ones, but people are like hearing about movie sets and being like, that's crazy. What's happening there? I was like, that's not that crazy. Like, that's pretty, like movies especially are about just people going crazy and acting out. And then one or two people trying to harvest a series of photographs of those people that can be assembled into a film. But it's mostly poorly behaved, crazy people being indulged by various parties.
And we have seen and worked at places, and this is no, big scoop. Like SNL is one of them, where people come in with their system of how they like to work, and they're like people when they're nervous or insecure are often not at their best, and the way they act is wild because they're nervous or insecure.
Yeah, insecurity makes people behave wildly. I even have learned to realize that we talk about the relationship to work, that I have now learned that I get very, very grouchy and nervous when something has to be written. Because it is like having a stomach flu, and you're like, it's the sick you feel before you either eject it one way or the other. It's like, and it just really
got to come out one end.
Grouchy until it comes out. And I can at least see that pattern, but it doesn't prevent it from happening. But I'm like, okay, here's what's happening right now.
I feel that way about when I'm in a situation where I don't feel like there's a strong leader. Like where I'm being directed by someone who doesn't quite know what they're doing, or there's no one telling us what to do. Like there's no one in control. I have that grouchiness where I feel like I'm either going to have to take over here, or I'm going to have to check out.
Yeah.
And I've been in a couple projects where like week one, I'm like, oh no, like we don't have a captain. Like this ship is going down, and you can see months ahead.
Yep.
How do you? Yeah, I don't. How do you? You just kind of. I guess you just watch funny videos in your trailer.
Yeah, I think the one way is you shut down.
And the other way is you try to clumsily take over and make people uncomfortable.
Yeah, those are the only two. Those are the only two options. They really are.
I know. But like, hold on, I'm gonna take a lip balm break.
Do it up.
Because my lips are dry.
This is brought to you by Lip Balm. The concept of lip balm. The Lip Balm Foundation, promoting all lip balms everywhere.
I guess this is friendship. Is letting your friend use their.
I know about this because I have a middle schooler.
I love Laneige.
I'm gonna.
The question is like, how well do you have to know someone to let
I'm
stick
not
their finger in?
I'm
your
not
lip
shy
balm?
to do that. I just.
Okay, you don't want to.
I don't want to.
Interesting. Well, I'll think about that all day. The fact that you didn't put your finger.
I'm afraid I will wipe off what little color is left.
But you're not a germaphobe.
I'm not a germaphobe, and I think it's a real unattractive quality in someone else when they're like a germaphobe.
Especially in a man.
In a man, it is such a
disgusting
deal breaker.
Like a man who's worried about, like, I don't shake hands. It's like, you're a man.
Shake hands and then go wash your hands, you freak.
Yeah, you're the one with poop on your hands.
You're the one.
Like, who said anything about poop on their hands until you did? I don't know. But we know a couple of people that are germaphobes. We have to watch out. That's the thing we have to watch out for in our 50s, is the thing that was like our cute eccentricity becomes our genuine
mental illness. Yeah.
The thing that's like, you know how they don't like to drive?
Yeah.
Well,
I got my license had expired, and during the pandemic, you were like, it was before the pandemic. You were like, you got to get your license back. To me, you were like, you can't be one of those older ladies that doesn't drive. And I'm like, you're right.
I do
and
feel
now
like
I love to drive.
You
I do.
You do. You're good at driving, and you love
to drive.
it. And the name of your car is?
My car is named Karen because she's a white Subaru.
And I said this before, which is I feel like Amy came this close to being a Karen.
Yes, because as you've said, like a lot of the actual worst Karens were in fact named Amy in real life.
The woman that called the guy that was bird watching was named Amy. At the same time, Amy Coney Barrett was up and running or getting up and running. There was a lot going on with Amy's. We missed it by an inch.
Yeah, it's a real.
Yeah, but is there anything you feel like you see me doing that you should I should be careful about?
warn you about? That's a good question.
I think that is what women do for each other. Is they say like, "Hey, you know the pills that you take for flying? You shouldn't take them
when you're not
flying."
Oh, my chair made a fart sound. That wasn't me. No, I feel like I know what you should tell me about, which is the especially coming out of the pandemic.
Yeah.
My mumbling, talking.
Yeah, you're mumbling.
Metastasized.
Your mumbling.
And sometimes, when I'm thinking really fast, like it really is. Even I'm like, wow, what's going on there? Like I have to work to fully form my words.
What do you think is going on there?
I think I stayed home a lot in the pandemic and muttered to myself. And I hope that's it, and it's not a precursor to some kind of mental decline.
It was like her muttering started when she was 53.
And then she became one of the Crumb brothers from the movie Crumb. Everyone pause the podcast, go watch Crumb real quick. But I'm trying to think if there. I don't.
Well, I know that I play this game with my friends. This would be a fun game to play together, which is like, what is the version of you that's like your biggest fear you will turn into?
I know mine exactly.
Okay, what is it?
How do I say this without saying it?
Mm-hmm.
I want to write it down and show it to you, and you can.
By the way, I have my computer here, because that's what people do with podcasts is they have their computer.
Because you're playing Candy Crush the
Yeah,
whole time.
I'm not.
And you have one window open with porn.
I wish we could do the whole podcast where I say really like the wrong information about everything, and then I pretend to look it up and I verify it in front of you. Oh, also, I wish I was just smoking weed the whole time. What if I just lit up a joint? Okay. Okay.
Now, how do I articulate that?
I would say
there's a certain type of strident, older showbiz.
Yes.
That's like, listen to me, honey. I don't give a fuck. And I'm like, oh God.
But that's so not you. You're a mutterer.
I'm a mutterer. So it's not. But there's also something about the look of it that's. As often as I say, like, I'm going to cut my hair, and my friend Guy has been doing my hair for 30 years, he's like, no. No, you may not.
Well, you have the best hair in the
Thank
business. People should know this.
This is all a hair campaign.
This is all Tina's hair.
This is all my hair. Thank you. And much like skinny people who are mad about Ozempic, in the early 2000s, when all these bitches started wearing tracks, I was like, what? You could just have what I have? This is all I have.
It is the most incredible real hair
Thank
I've
you
ever
so much.
seen.
We just did this. I just did this show called The Four Seasons that's coming out in May, and there's a scene. It's based on this old movie with Alan Alda and Carol Burnett, and there's a scene in the old movie where Carol Burnett is very angrily brushing her short hair, which is it's like the most 1981 thing ever. Like, first of all, we know, like, you don't vigorously brush short hair. It's going to look terrible. But she's in the scene, she's fighting and she's brushing her hair. And I put that's just a little bit of that in the show. I just poked myself in the eye. And I kept saying, Coleman Domingo was directing that episode. And I kept saying, like, Coleman, I'll tell you what, a lot of these movie stars, they can act better than me, but they can't brush their hair on camera because they're all wearing fucking wigs.
Exactly.
And they're all wearing, and so I was insisted in the edit that couple shots of me brushing my hair stayed in, and then I went to the mix and I was like, oh, did you turn down the sound of my hair brushing? Turn it back up.
And that's what producing is.
That's what producing is. It's insanity and narcissism.
And it's like, turn up my hair.
Turn up the sound of the brush going through my hair.
And people go, we don't need it. And you go, we do need it.
We do need it.
But you have incredible hair. I feel like you should have a hair campaign. And also, I'm pushing you to have a glasses line. Why do you not have a glasses?
I don't have a glasses line because I have to say,
you hate money?
I do kind of hate money. As we know, I'm terrible with money only in that I'm like,
you are not terrible.
No, I'm not terrible. I don't waste money, but I don't get excited about money. If I'm safe and I have enough money to live, I have a problem with rich people having a side hustle.
Yeah. You mean like a podcast or something?
No, you're doing work. I'm saying if you sold like, where would my line be for you? Where would I draw the line?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like if I had a rosé.
You know what I mean? If you already have like $200 million and you're like, also I need you to
But Tina, this is where you have to learn from Gen Z. I'm sorry, and we have to.
They don't care. They don't judge it.
They don't judge it.
I judge it.
Well, you should stop because this is the thing now. You have to have 1 million. You have to have glasses.
Yeah. Well, I have my line of children's medications.
And I told you that's so treacherous.
No, guys, by the way, one time, 1 million years ago, I remember seeing, and I won't name this actress, but someone could figure it out. I remember seeing a 80s actress promoting her line of homeopathic children's medications. I was like, why on this earth would I trust an actress for pediatric medications
to give to my child?
Yeah.
You're saying you worry about turning into a woman as you get older, that is like a strident, opinionated, here's how it works, babe,
right,
kind of person.
Yeah, and just fighting everybody.
Yeah.
And just
because I just think as an exercise, it's fun to think about our personalities, like what the thing that like got us here, that are here sitting in front, like you and I are lucky enough to have a lot of years behind us, hopefully more years in front of us in working, getting to try all this different stuff. We're at a point in our lives where we're like in this juicy middle where we have either parents who have passed away or aging parents. We have kids who are like coming into their own. We're right in the middle of life. Let's be honest, we're more 2/3 than middle, but we like to say we're middle. Although I'm going to live to 100.
God forbid.
Wait, you don't want to live to 100?
No. Unless there's some amazing...
There will be.
Okay, we'll see.
Like new lungs, there'll be a whole thing.
Oh, money only can fix your 80s and 90s so much.
That is the thing. We've traveled on... We've hung around a lot of wealthy older people, and the thing that they cannot get over is that they're going to die. Yeah, like that's the thing they can't believe.
But who's your guy? Who do I call? Yeah,
yeah, and it's like no one. You call God.
Yeah,
you call him on the phone and say,
yeah. But sorry,
he says welcome to hell.
He says welcome.
And
to
God
hell.
says welcome to hell. Okay. But do you want to talk about Four Seasons for a second, by the way? Because it is coming out, and Coleman Domingo
is a prince on this earth. Oof. An angel on this earth.
God.
So talented, so beautiful.
Gorgeous.
Inside and out, like a beautiful human being. Yes, so we're doing this show, The Four Seasons, on Netflix. I'm very excited about it. It is based on this 1981 movie that was written and directed by Alan Alda, another angel on this earth.
Can I tell people that I said hello to Alan Alda at your house recently?
Alan Alda came to my house.
That was pretty cool.
Alan and Arlene Alda. It was a real
his lovely wife.
Momentous occurrence.
I mean, Alan Alda was huge in our lives.
He remains huge, and he's such a big deal. Like you can't even imagine what a giant. Do you remember the Super Emmy?
No.
1 year they gave out a Super Emmy. So it was like
it was called a Super Emmy?
It was called a Super Emmy, and he's the only person that ever got it because it was like they won like best show, best directing, best script, blah 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 blah, and the Super Emmy goes to Alan Alda for Matt. And everyone was like, okay, that's enough of the Super Emmy.
They only did it once?
I think they only did it once.
And was it bigger than a regular Emmy?
Well, you should have him on the podcast.
Oh, he has a great podcast.
I have listened to his podcast. It's one of the few that have penetrated my fortress.
That's what she said.
I would love to talk about it because it was a truly joyous experience, top to bottom. Like one of the things I'm most proud about of this whole thing was that so many people, actors and crew, came up to me and were like, "This is the most pleasant job we've ever had." And it was, like I said, it was built as intentionally as possible to be all good souls. It's Coleman, a beautiful Italian actor named Marco Calvani, Steve Carell, Will Forte, Carrie Kinney-Silver, and Erica Henningsen. And it's basically that little ensemble is pretty much, that's it. Very few day players, very few guest stars. And so it was a really cozy environment, and it's a very, very gentle program that I am kind of just can't wait to see if people are interested in a good hang. It hopefully is the TV equivalent of a good hang, because it's just, there's some story, but there's no zombies, there's no mysteries.
Great. That's exactly truly what we're trying to do here, because my nervous system Well,
Cannot
two
take it
two things. My nervous system cannot take it compared to the rest of the world.
Yes.
And also, I feel like there's this weird sometimes. I mean, you are the exact. You're the example of not doing this. I think you like everything you make is hard jokes and hard comedy and always really really funny. But a lot of times women specifically are asked to like be like nurturing caretakers in spaces, like be teachers and when we were thinking about this podcast, it was like I all the guys get to just like goof around and have fun, and it'd be like straight comedy escapism, and our stuff has to be, I don't know, about menopause, which also is important.
Yeah, this is. I mean, for the people who want 100 jokes per minute, this is a departure. These characters are funny, but it's all completely human scale.
Ooh, I love
so
that.
Again, we shall see. And I feel like it is just a little science experiment where people might be like, no.
But
we'll
TV
see.
doesn't really, like, there's no TV anymore, right? It's all just like articles about TV. Like
Right,
TV
it's
itself isn't
listicles,
on.
It's AI generated listicles.
It's TikTok about TV shows that aren't on. So what is the thing that you do? Where do you go to escape? What is like the video that you watch, the
Yes.
person that you watch? What is
Okay.
making you laugh?
I have a couple things that I like to watch. One of the things I like to watch is, and again, I'm going to keep referencing TikTok. I am not a public account. Don't find me. Don't look for me. Don't at me.
If anyone's pretending to be you, they're fake.
It's fake, yeah. But I like to watch videos of people either doing or learning or trying to teach Beyonce's Homecoming dance break. So either someone who can do it, or I love it when it's a person who you don't expect them to be able to do it, and then they do it.
like they're holding like a laundry basket.
Yes, or they're just like, they're a mom in their laundry room, and then they do it.
Yeah.
I have tried to watch tutorials to try to do it. I'm not a great dancer, and I know that if I was given from now to the end of my life, I could not learn the first 16 counts of that dance.
Yeah.
But I love watching people do it. And then the other day I was watching a whole bunch of people doing it, and it took me, one guy was like a really beautiful, ripped guy in like shorts, no shirt doing it. And I was like, oh, this is a new layer of this. And then the algorithm was like, oh, you watch that? So you just want to see videos that are just like hashtag rugby build. And it was just like,
Oh, yeah.
guys with a rugby build. And I was like, I think I do want to watch this.
Yeah, Paul Mescal started that. Like he's the ultimate famous rugby build.
Okay.
And then have you seen in rugby where they have to pick each other up with their
wrestle each other up?
underwear? Like
I don't know.
they wrestle- No, so in rugby, there's a move where the men, to get the other one taller, you know, like to basically, it's almost like if you're hoisting somebody up.
Yeah.
They grab basically their shorts and underwear.
So weird.
And then that's how they get it up. And there's videos, and I'm not saying that my algorithm has necessarily taken up on this, but I have seen them enough to now I do get them, where men grab each other by the waist. It's very feminine. It's actually like, it almost looks
balletic.
like yes, it looks like a lift.
Yeah.
But they grab each other and lift each other up, and then their penis, their dicks are right in the line of their face, but it's totally fine. It's just,
I mean, it's fine either way.
of course it is. I just mean it. Everyone's happy. There's no. Everyone's doing exactly what they want to do,
Yeah.
and these are in slow motion.
Yes. Yeah, I wasn't mad about that change in my algorithm. And okay, so another thing that I really do, the only other television program that truly brings me joy is my weekend local news in the morning.
Wow.
I love, and by the way, they know this, and they're probably like, stop talking about us. It's getting weird.
Who are your
I
anchors?
love NBC4, Pat Battle, Gus Rosendale. It is, I find, to be the most truly informative, nice program on the whole week. Here's what you get, Amy. You get your news. You get your national news briefly. You get your local news, mostly local, right?
Okay.
Then you get Produce Pete.
Oh, I love Produce Pete.
Nice old Italian man comes out, tells you what's in season, what to make with it. Incredible. Then it used to be more frequently before the pandemic. Before the pandemic, he used to be in person. Bill's Books. Nice a gentleman named Bill tells you what he read, what he liked about it, what he recommends that you read. Before the pandemic, they also then used to sometimes be like, here are some animals that are up for adoption. I feel like that's gone away. But that's it. And then the weather and the traffic and Pat Battle and Gus, I believe they're friends. They have a wonderful rapport.
You don't know what their deal is?
I mean, I don't think they're more than friends, if that's what you're implying.
I would never.
But I feel like they like being coworkers.
What a great
Have
name,
I
too, Pat Battle.
Pat Battle. Have I? Listen, one time it was like a hurricane or something, a blizzard. Pat Battle went out in the street in her
That's a
hometown.
big deal.
She went out in where she lives in New Jersey, and she was helping people push their cars.
That's cool.
That is what America should be. Okay? It's Pat, it's Gus, it's Produce Pete, it's Bill's Books. We help our neighbors. That's the America I want to live in.
If you've got Battle in the last name, you gotta push
Right?
somebody's
Listen,
car.
have I invited Pat Battle to events? 100%. Like too many times. Does she show up? Yes. We have a good time. Great.
So you've met Pat Battle.
I've met Pat Battle.
And what was that like? Did sparks fly?
I mean, she was like thought it was pretty funny that I keep bothering her and I'm obsessed with her. But Pat Battle's in an episode of 30 Rock.
Oh, really? As herself?
Yeah, we did one episode where Liz Lemon gets invited to like a women in media luncheon, and then of course like the gag is that they have a big screen and they can't figure out to get it to work, and then all women are all like, turn it on and off again. And like, but it was like Pat Battle, Gail King, a couple other news ladies, and Andrea Martin played like the lady who was running it, and her character has a breakdown in the middle of the thing, and she's talking about how her husband left her, and she's like, I just remember she had some line where she was like, my Andrea Martin impression, get ready.
Okay.
I put a sweater on a body pillow and I took it for a canoe ride. Like everyone, all the women lose their minds at the Women in Media luncheon.
Tina, that makes total sense to me that is your like fun.
That makes me feel nice. And I'm drinking coffee. I'm with Jeff. It's the morning.
Yeah.
Everything hasn't gone to shit yet.
And then
the weekend plans are all possible.
But the news, but the news is
local. Listen, it's local. It's local.
But even the locals.
Oh, everything's on fire. Yeah, but then it's also like there's a food festival on City Island. That
And
kind of
Produce
stuff.
Pete's like, check out these artichokes.
He's like, Betty's gonna make this squash pie called mutzagoots.
Speaking of Betty, people should know that that's what I call you. That's
right.
That's my nickname for you.
You called me that in front of Colin Jost the other day, and he seemed very delighted.
I can't believe he didn't know that.
Well,
we're right now
he's not thinking about us enough.
No, he doesn't know what we call each other.
In private.
Jost, who talk about an arc. Jost, when we met Jost,
Did you say a narc or an arc?
an arc.
Okay.
Talk about a narc.
What a narc.
I was smoking weed and Jost called the police and I was like, fucking narc. No, talk about having an arc. Baby Jost, as we used to call him, we met him. We went up to Harvard, the Harvard Lampoon.
Oh, see, that's where we met him?
That's, I think, where I met him. Did you
have
meet
better,
him?
I have a terrible memory. I remember I hated every minute being at the Harvard Lampoon. I
Boy,
hated
me
it.
too.
What a bunch of dorks.
Maybe we should just tell the story. So the Harvard Lampoon invites you up and they kind of roast you.
They invite you to come up, and then you go there, and then a bunch of like snivelly little worms.
Yeah.
Like, by the way, like try to roast you, and they're not good at it.
No, they're not good
And
at
you're
it.
just
But
like,
you
"What's
and I,
happening?"
many times, over the years, many times I've had this moment where we've turned to each other and loved or hated something at the same time. And this was definitely an example where we both were like, we don't like this. And they make you go through this kind of initiation. And I mean, I wasn't in a sorority in college.
No, me neither.
And I don't get it. So, but
Yeah.
they made you go through a whole thing, and then they brought us into a big giant room, and they kind of roasted us.
Yeah.
And I think we had a lot of fun in how much we did
We
not
all
engage,
didn't like it, yeah.
didn't like it. And but Baby Jost was there.
He was a babe. Okay.
I don't remember him. We didn't get a Jost roast, but
No, he was always a.
but he went on
Too smart
to.
for that. I don't remember any of the actual people that roasted us.
I remember the face of one guy.
And has he gone on to work in comedy?
I don't believe he has.
Yeah.
I since then, because you and I both have like blue collar.
Yeah.
I guess rage. What would you call it? Like, or at worst, chip on her shoulder. At best,
like you're not
maybe,
better than me.
Yeah. I remember having 2 more Harvard experiences, and both involved what I felt like sniveling guys roasting me, because one was the hasty pudding, where you really do kind of, you know what you're getting into, and they kind of come out and roast you.
Yeah, why isn't everyone just like, no, nerds, thanks, no thanks? Like, why does anyone go?
I don't know. But I really did my homework on that one, and I had really good jokes that I was proud of.
Oh, that's good.
And I really crushed them. And then I was asked to give like one of those speeches at Harvard, and one of the kids, I've gotten this more than once, and I hope this isn't awkward for me to say it in front of you, but definitely, like, people like to say, like, you're the poor man's Tina Fey.
Oh, God.
I know. And so, but this kid said it right before I went up, so I gave him the finger, which everyone was shocked about. And I don't know if it was the right, I mean, I did it, I guess.
Yeah.
But I go, fuck you. And again, I was like, you're on a dais, Amy. Like, but then fuck Harvard. Yeah, fuck Harvard. Yeah. I mean, those fucking assholes. But but thank you for inviting me. It was a real honor.
Don't lose my number forever. Go fuck yourselves.
Yeah, definitely is the kind of thing where, like, people go to award shows and they get mad that they're getting the award. It's like, if you really don't like it, don't go.
Don't go.
But I did go and was happy to give a speech. Okay. Lastly, just to kind of get started on this podcast, I had on Zoom, I had Dratch, Seth, and Fred and Zarna. And they all got on a Zoom, and I said, I'm interviewing Tina. What should I ask her?
Oh, my gosh.
And it was great because everyone was very excited. And, of course, I just want you to know the most hilarious thing was Dratch could not get her laptop to turn on or her headphones to work. And then while we were recording, the doorbell rang, and her dog started barking because she had ordered food. So there wasn't much content that we can use.
So were there questions from that?
But there were a couple questions, which is what makes you laugh. We went into that.
What makes me laugh? We didn't really get into that. We watched for comfort. The thing that made me laugh the hardest most recently was this clip of Bobby Moynihan they did these really great SNL documentaries, and it was a documentary about auditioning for SNL, and it was people, and you were in it, you were great in it, and they talk to people about the process of auditioning, and then they show them their audition back, and people get emotional. People, they've never seen it, or like, oh my gosh, this is from 50 years ago or whatever. And they made Bobby watch his audition back, and he's doing a character that's in his audition that's just beyond inappropriate. And he's watching it, and he's watching it, and he goes, oh no. And then he just goes, oh, Bobby. And the way he says, oh, Bobby, the way he calls himself by name is so gentle, and it made me laugh so hard. And I think it should be the TikTok sound that people play. Like, when you have to see a piece of comedy that you're like, okay, we realize now that that's not okay. You just show the content and just hear the voice of Bobby going, oh, Bobby. And that's how you apologize for problematic content in the past. You just put the oh, Bobby sound over it, and it means I see it. I'm sorry. Let's all move forward.
I know better now.
I know better now.
I do better now.
I'm an ally who makes mistakes.
Oh, Bobby.
Oh, Bobby. Oh, Bobby. That really made me laugh. I couldn't stop watching it.
You can get that audio. You should trademark that audio and make merch. And then the other thing that Zarna was like, Tina never gets asked girly questions, which is so funny. I mean, do you feel like you don't get asked girly questions?
I don't know.
I know,
like what's my skincare routine?
Yeah.
Nothing.
I mean,
do nothing, and then expensive lasers.
Fred wanted to know. Fred's like, oh, also, by the way, Fred does a great Tina impression.
No!
You've never seen his
No, I've never seen it.
What do you mean? I feel like he's done it to you. He does a thing where he's like he mumbles, but when he comes up, the thing about Fred Armisen, his impressions are never, like, they never make you feel bad.
Yes. Yeah.
At least in my experience, like, they just feel like they're kind.
Yeah.
Which is hard to do. But he comes up with, like, a script. You've seen this.
I don't know.
The physicality. It's more physicality than anything else, where he comes up with a script and he goes, hey, buddy, just want to, like, and you're giving a thought with the script, holding the script to your body, and you can't hear what you're saying.
I'm like, what percentage Tina Belcher am I?
Well, remember Shy
30%?
Ronnie, Andy
Shy Ronnie.
Samberg's character on that? Maybe
Yeah.
there's a little Shy Ronnie. Yeah. Anyway, Fred wanted to know, last question, maybe we can talk about this before you go, is your dad, like, a really good artist?
Yeah.
Really good at caricatures? Do you have any of that artistic ability?
I wish I had more. I think both my daughters have it. I do in the summer. I go to Fire Island in the summer, and I like to paint portraits in my free time, and they are terrible. And they're getting slightly better, but not at a rate that would impress. Like they're terrible. But I love, because it's the only thing I want to paint is I want to try to capture people's faces, people like that I love, and I should take some classes because of course the problem is I don't draw the head right, and then they come out like. Sometimes I kind of like how wonky they come out, but no. Of the 4 people in my immediate family, I am the least talented at art. My daughters are very talented. Jeff is very can draw and paint. But can I just quickly, my favorite, the story of when my dad, who loved coming up to visit SNL, it was like Fred's one of his first few shows, and my dad was coming up and visiting, and he was like standing in 8H while we were getting ready to rehearse Update at that like 5 o'clock time, and Fred was in a costume for some other sketch. He was in a tuxedo, and my dad had not met him yet, and he just came up to my dad and was in a tuxedo, and came up to my dad in character, just going, "This is Rainbow Room? I look for Rainbow Room." See, I can't tell the story because I shouldn't be doing this accent, but Fred, I guess, can do it.
We'll get a robot to do it.
Get a robot to do it. But it was so funny.
And your dad was like,
he loved it.
Oh, he loved it.
And he used to paint little portraits, little caricatures of Fred as like Ferricito, as Prince, and he would mail them to me, and I would give them to Fred. And I think Fred still has one, which is, I think, what made him think of that question.
No way.
He was Fred's biggest fan.
Oh, Don Fay has great taste.
Yeah,
Like
he was
just
a great
smart
artist. He was
artist,
a cool guy.
and really cool guy. And coming back around, if Fred has Don Fay originals, I have in my children's bedrooms, I have paintings done by Barbara Jost, Colin Jost's grandmother.
That's awesome. That's
so it's back to
cool.
Jost. If you are listening to this when it comes out, Tina and I are going to be on the road.
Yes, look for us at a theatrical venue near you.
We have a bunch of dates and all over the U.S., and it's been so fun, and we're going to have our buddies out there with us.
Is it TinaAmy.com? TinaandAmy.com?
You would think I would know.
We would know.
I think so. I think it is TinaandAmy.com.
I think so.
But go check it out. Check out our dates. Come see us, and hopefully we'll continue to work together for another 30 years.
I hope so.
Me too. Love you.
I love you too.
Thank you. So, that's our first episode of Good Hang. Thank you, Tina, for coming. I did actually learn. I did learn that she learned things that I didn't know after 30 years. That she obviously is in an emotional affair with her local newscasters, and that's a problem. And I should let her husband know. We are at a point in the show, the end of the show, where we're going to do something called the Poehler Plunge, which is really simply, I'm going to talk about stuff that makes me laugh and like where we're finding joy and lightness these days. And so to add to that, before we go, I just want to say that check out my favorite sketch on SNL, the one that I return to over and over again during COVID, during tough times in my life, when I was feeling especially down. The first Debbie Downer, the Lindsay Lohan episode when they're at Disneyland, that sketch to me is the perfect example of how a good laugh can completely change your day, your week, your life. And why it is so funny to me is that the great Rachel Dratch, whose comedic stylings and physical comedy we experienced at the beginning of this episode when she couldn't get her headphones on. When Rachel is trying to stick the landing and get those jokes out, and we know that it's going to be followed by the sound effect, and the audience has this moment where we're all in it together, that moment is still thrilling to watch. So do yourself a favor, because yes, Rachel cracks up, and when people crack up, it can be funny, or sometimes it can be annoying or whatever. And I grew up with Carol Burnett and loved watching the play that they all had and how they were all trying to kind of get each other to laugh. But what's so funny about Debbie Downer in that scene and why I truly watch it for a serotonin boost is because Rachel knows what's coming and she tries her best to keep a straight face. And that she's like bursting like a silent film star. And anyway, that's what's making me laugh today. You've been listening to Good Hang. The executive producers for this show are Bill Simmons, Jenna Weiss-Berman, and me, Amy Poehler. The show is produced by The Ringer and Paper Kite. For The Ringer, production by Jack Wilson, Kat Spillane, Kaya McMullen, and Alea Zanaris. For Paper Kite, production by Sam Green, Joel Lovell, and Jenna Weiss-Berman. Original music by Amy Miles.